Hi. So, how you doing today? How's everyone over there? So, last time we stopped at form, and I promised you there was we're gonna be running through form and doing one or two examples on form. So, how's the class been so far? You can drop your comment. Let me know the problem you've been having, but I don't think you should have any problem so far because we've been doing just the simple parts of the whole thing. Okay, someone reached out to me and said I'm a bit fast when talking. Sorry, it's my nature, but I'll try as much as possible not to be too fast so that I can slow down so you can hear everything I'm saying. Okay, please always try to drop your comment in case things are not working the way you expect it to be. Probably my voice is too loud, you can tell me so I can lower the volume of my microphone. Probably I shout a lot, you should let me know so I can lower the voice of my microphone. I mean, increase the volume of microphone rather. Probably my voice is too thick. Just tell me so that I could probably take some water so I could get some better voice. Okay, it's gonna be a long video today. It's gonna be a long class because we'll be going through the form and the form body. We'll be doing writing some example of forms, and we'll be taking out the tables also. So, guys, get ready, sit tight. It's gonna be very, very interesting. I can assure you. Okay, last time we created a website. We started with the website, and we were able to went through hyperlink image. We were able to link two sites together, two pages together. And today we want to talk about form. Like I said last time, as if web form allowed a user to enter data that is sent to a server for processing. If you want to register for anything online, you are going to use a form, and you can see it's a very essential part of website. There's no website you've opened in the past that doesn't have a form, either for registration, for contact us, for getting a code, for different things. Forms are always used for different things on the website. It is very important as widget. Let me say, I don't want to use the word widget. It's a very important tool need to be used on the website. Okay, so let's get started. We treated the form tag. We explained the method, the action last time in the other video. So probably if you missed that video, you can just go back and watch the other video. So a part of the form now, after the head form header, now we have what we call the form body. That's what makes up the form itself. We have the input. You can say the input attribute shows what type of field information to receive from user. This has many attributes. That is, in the input, it tells you, okay, when you say input, you're trying to say, okay, I'm about to receive something from this user. Now the attributes, the attribute that embedded within the input tag tells what kind of input you're about to receive from the user. Now, one of the attributes we have is type. When you say input, put the type. The type we'll be able to specify whether we're accepting a value. Probably it's going to be a file, or probably it's going to be a text, or it's going to be a date, whatever it's going to be. So we normally use the type to tell the system what exactly it's getting. Now we have the name. That's the name of the form, the name of the particular input, because in when we start writing the backend, we want to refer to that particular input. We actually need a name to call the particular input. For instance, they are filling a form. Now, the place where you fill your first name, a name is given to it underneath. That name is what we use to refer to that particular first name. It's not your first name, because if your first name is Daniel, I believe we will have over 1 million people in the world that bears Daniel that could fill that same form. But a unique name is being given to that particular form, that particular input. Probably will give a name of John to it. So it's going to see that input as John. Then we're going to ask, okay, treat every input that comes in through John for this and that. I believe you understand that. Okay, let me use another example. For instance, we have a room in my house, and probably we name the room working room. Okay, like I have an office in my house. I have an office that has a door that's locked, private, personal to myself. So sometimes it could be more than 2, 3 in my office, but no matter what, the name we normally call it. They call it his office. That's the name given to that particular place. They had my name, Adiola's office. Then okay, it doesn't matter how many of us are there. At that moment, any action they want to perform will be on the office. For instance, let's say probably they want to lock the office, they're not locking at the neither are they locking Daniel or John or Baker or something, but they are locking the office. So whatever is in that office is locked alongside. You get it? Okay, so that's the way it is. Okay, let's move on. When we start making use of it, you get to understand better. Okay, we have the value. Sometimes our form has default value. Sometimes when you want to fill some form online, you already have like a sample name typed inside. So that's what we use that for. We have size, the input element width. Okay, I want this form to be size 50. I want to be 50 wide, 50 high. You understand? So that's what we use the size for. Then we have the required tag. There are times you want to fill some form online, and there's some places you tend to omit, and the system will tell you this place requires a value. That's what we use the required attribute for. It's not every time we want users to just come and fill little things and leave some places blank. No, sometimes we want them to fill everything. We want everywhere. We don't want anywhere to be blank. So at that point, we make use of the required. Now we have the placeholder. The placeholder is just like giving the user an idea of what is meant to be in that particular form, in that particular the kind of input you're about to take. For instance, there are some input you see. For instance, you have been asked to enter username. You will see something like enter username so faint that even when you click on it, it disappears. We call that a placeholder. Okay, so we have other tags that we'll make use of aside the input. We have the select. We use this for the drop down for user to select from options. Then once we write the select, then we'll start putting in the options using the option tags. Okay, we have other ones, and inside this select tag we can have a name, we can have a value, we can have a size, we can have required. So a lot of things like that. So what we're doing now is we're practicalizing, we're making use of the table. Like I said earlier on, everything I teach you here might not be everything. It's just more or less like I don't want to call it a crash course, but just introducing you to these things, and you could go online and see more and more. Okay, but I will try my possible best to give you at least 90%. That the remaining 10% will just be something that you might actually not need, or probably at one time or the other you might just decide to just let me just go through. Okay, now we'll be creating a form and we'll be making use of some of this tags. We have some other tags I'm not mentioned that we're making use of. Okay, let's go back to our Sublime test. This is our website that we had last week. So I'll create the form here. Okay, so the first thing to do, like I said, you type the form tag, FORM. Now you have the opening and the closing of the form. Then inside the form we have some other attribute like method, action, but since we're not sending the form to any server, we can just ignore that. Now we have the inputs. Now input, the type tells what exactly you're about to take. Okay, for instance, let's start with the first one. The most common one is text. We have input text. We have a name, so we're giving name we're giving to this is let's say first name. That's the name we are giving to it, so that we're able to recognize that particular input. So we have a placeholder. We say okay, please enter your first name. If I save this, if I go to our browser and I refresh, it should say something. Can you see this? Sorry, I just had to, so you could see, but can you see this? Now this is our form. If it doesn't look this way in your browser, don't worry, it's because of the kind of browser I use. So that's our form. That's taking in text, so we could type in text here. So this one takes text. Okay, another type we have is the one that takes numbers, and here we just write numbers. And let's go there and see how it looks like. Refresh your page. Is it saying please enter your first name? Oh, sorry, I think there's a mistake somewhere. Let's check back. There should be a mistake somewhere. Okay, it's number, not numbers. Sorry. if I refresh, now you can see we have a button up and down. If I try to come in here and type, if let's assume I have a submit button, it will tell me text are not allowed. You can see it's not increasing there, and that is decreasing. So we are meant to type numbers here. So we have another type. We have the email. That one accepts only email. Okay, you know what? Let me create all the different inputs, then put in a submit button. I'll show you how to put a submit button. Then we'll not try it and see to know okay which one is right, which one is not. Okay, input type. Let's have a text. Let's call the name of this text 1. Then we'll give it a placeholder. We'll say enter any text. We also have another attribute called the value, but we're not using that. We don't want to give it any default value. So let's have another input. Let's have number for this. Let's have a name. Let's call it N01. We can put a placeholder if we wish, but let's not put a placeholder. Don't worry. Like I said, I think it's going to be a long class, so I'll be putting you through. I'll teaching you how to use label to label our forms. So let's move on. We have the number. We have input. We have the type to be date. You're meant to give it a name. We have another input. We have the type to be email. We have another input. We have the type to be file. Now we have another input. We have the type to be check box. So here when we create a checkbox, we have to create the first checkbox. Okay, let me just put this here. Let me say okay, checkbox. Let's move on. You understand what I'm trying to say? Let me create another checkbox. Let's make it 2. Oh yeah, sorry. I think I made a mistake. I will check box. Okay, let's have another one. Inputs. Type is radio. Name is add. No, sorry, the same name. This value can be added. Yes, or this value can be. Alright, don't get confused. I will explain everything. Let's have the last one. Let's have. No, sorry, not the last one. Let's have what we call text area. Then let's have our selects. Let's have option, male, and the option. Female. Let's have the last one. Let's have an input with a type. Submit. This one must surely have a value. That will say submit. Okay. Let's go to our browser. I refresh. Now you could see that we have different stuff there. Now the first one we have type of text. That's where we're able to enter text. Now this one is type of numbers. You can see we have increment number. This one is type of date. When I click on it, I have the date popped up. That is, it's the type is date. This is sorry, I can't remember. Okay, email. Let me put okay. So this is type email. It's just like says you're meant to type in email here. So this type file. So if I click on this now, it's taking me down to my PC to select a particular file, picture or something. For checkbox, you can check the 2 box, but for radio button, you can only check one of the button. Then for text area, it's bigger than the rest. You can add more things inside. Then we have the male and female. That's the for select button. You have the submit button. Okay, so guys, that's the form. Let's add require to the email and see the way it works. Let's okay. We have required as part of the attribute in the email input. So if I should come here and I refresh and I try to submit, you tell you that fill out this field. So let me just put this and this and try to submit. You can see it's still complaining about this field. It's not submitting. Why? Because the type is an email. But if I should put RT, let me just say this. Can you see what I'm seeing now? They say please enter a valid email. This is .hh. If I tend to submit now, it goes because the text inside, what's inside isn't valid. Okay, let's try this. Let me put text here. Let me try submit. Okay, it's telling me please enter a number. That is, in this particular field, text are not allowed. Only numbers are allowed. So I believe you understand the way it works now. So this is a form. Now, I would, like I said, someone messaged me. I was like, my website doesn't look good. What's she going to do? The website looks so awful. I said, okay, hold on. We're still learning HTML. We still have CSS to learn. And like I promised, now it's going to be a long video. I'm actually not taking CSS now, but I'll just explain what CSS is and how it works. Okay, let's move on. Okay, for the we have something we call label. Now, how does label works? For instance, I need to let people know, aside my placeholder, I can use a particular text to show exactly what this is doing. So at the head of the text, what you just do is you put what we call a label. So you say label, then you type the label in between. Let's say first name, close the label. So if I should go to my browser, I refresh now, you can see I have first name for this particular text, which shows this is a label for this. So that's the way it works. Okay, so let's move on. We still have a lot to cover. I just want to do it in time. Let's move on. Okay, now let's go on to the next lesson. Now the next lesson now is tables. We'll be talking about tables. Now, what are tables? How do I define tables? I don't know, but there used to be a book back then in school. I can't remember the name it's been called. I think 2A or 2B or something. It has boxes. There are boxes over there. Okay, if you're not an African, you might not really understand. There are boxes in the book, so you have to write within the box. You understand? So that's an example of table. The book is being divided into cells. We have columns, we have rows. That example of a table. So tables are probably majorly used to organize our data in our website. We used to organize our data to make our data look neat and good. Like back then in the olden days, before we came up with div and the likes, we used tables even to organize the whole of the website to make it look good. So the HTML tables allows web authors to arrange data like text, image, links, other tables, etc. into rows and columns of cells. So just like our form, we have the major tags, which is the table, the opening and the closing table. Then we now have some other inner tags, the table head and the likes, table row, and so on and so forth. So we'll be taking care of everything now. So we'll be going through how to make use of our tables. We'll be having some few examples. Now, so now let's get to our text editor. Now, because our homepage is kind of filled up, I want us to write here, so I'll be doing it in our about us page. So right here I'll be writing the tables, so you can, if you have your file intact, you can just go there. So here we have what we call table. Now, when you have a table, you have the headers and you have the body. So to create the headers, we use an HTML5 tag which is called T-head. That's meaning, the table head. Then inside the table head, we create we have a TR, which is known as the table row. That will create a table row. Then inside the table row, we start having the table header itself. That's the heading of, for example, let's say we have SN serial number. We have TH, another one. We say first name. We have another one, TH. We have let's say address. We have this. Let's say this is email. Okay. So if we save this and we'll go to our browser and we'll refresh, we should have a table that has SN, first name, address, and email. Now you could see that it doesn't look like it because we don't have borders and some other thing around it. So that's a mistake actually, because we didn't put it in our table opening and closing tag. So let's cut this off. Let's put it here. Let's save. Let's go back and see our table looks like. That's looking more like a table. But let's see why we don't have our borders around it. Let's go inside our table. Let's put a space. Let's okay, border. Let's say true. Now you can see we have our borders to show that okay, this is actually a table. So border is one of the attributes that we have in our tables. So I come in here again and put one, and I'm back here and I refresh. Let's reduce the border a bit. Now I want to fill, these are the headings. Now I want to fill these headings with some data. Now how do we go about that? Now we've created a table head. Now we need to create a table body. Say T body. Then the same procedure, we have a table row. That's for the row. Then we have a table dimension. That's called TD. That's what creates the column. So for the serial number, we have 1. We go on. We say okay, another TD. For the first name, we have let's say we have John Doe. Then we have the address. We have another TD. We have the address. Let's say 11. Sorry, you might not understand this. It's an area in my country. Crowd Road. Okay. So we have another one. TD. We have a address, email address. We can say okay, a square at gmail.com. It should be dot, not comma. So if I save this, okay, all I will do is let me duplicate this. Let's have more than one data. Duplicate this. So I change this to 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's have since we have John Doe, let's have color. Let this be 12. Let's leave the email. Let's have Joe Don Doe John. Let's have 13. Let's have John Parker. Let's have 14 here. Okay, let's save this and go back to our table and see if it's actually working. Now you can use it's working because we're able to create the way it should be. Now we also have another features in table called the T foot. That's a table footer. Just like we did our T head, T body, we'll just come in here to also okay, T foot. Then we can go in. We can just go in and create a new row. We can have an header, a table header here and heading, or we can just say okay, we can just say okay, let's create a dimension here. let me just duplicate this so that you could just, this is just for example purpose. Like for instance, you're using your table to do Excel stuff and you want to accounting stuff, sorry, and you want to show the total calculation at the end. So this default, it's very very useful. Now can you see we have it underneath there? Okay, so I'm going to stop here for table. We have some other attributes in table. We have the column, span, and some other things, but I'm going to stop here for table. What I'm going to do is, when we start writing CSS, I'm going to introduce you to some special tags in HTML, so that it will make more sense than using CSS to work with those tags. But now I don't want to bore us with so many tags. That's why I'm trying as much as possible just to streamline. You might actually be reading a book and you might be saying more tags than I'm teaching you. Fine, yeah, that's right. It's okay. You can practice them, you can go through, but I don't want to bore us with so many HTML tags, because we're still going to use something that will make it more advanced. Then we'll talk about more HTML tags then. Okay, so the last one for this series, and that might be the end of HTML for us before we get to the next thing, is the iframe. Now, what do you use iframe for? Is an inline frame that allows external information to be embedded into a document. There are times that you're going through some website and you see a tweet in between the site. You'll be like, oh, did they install Twitter here or something? No, that particular tweet was embedded in that particular site. So the iframe has some attribute like src, name, width. Now we have another one we call the embed. It's also part of the iframe, but it stands on its own. It's a container for another external application or plugin like the one I just said. Now the iframe can be used to link not just another website. Okay, usually we use iframe for medias, like our videos, our our pictures, mostly our videos, our flash videos on our websites. That's what we use the iframe for. Okay, this will be our first assignment. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to implement this. I'm not going to write this. I'm not going to do an example on this. Let it be a whole thing. Do it and just send me a picture, just send me a screenshot. I have my email, I have my phone number. You can chat me up. I have it in my description. Just send me a screenshot. Yes. So I want to see whether probably we've been following or probably we understand what we've been doing. So guys, so this will be the end of HTML. So this will be stopping. But before then, I have some special tags. We call them HTML5 tags that we used in HTML these days. Most of the sites you see, you get to see these tags. Now we have the header, the footer, the article, the section, the dialog, the aside, the main, nav, progress, and so on and so forth. Now if you go to this particular site, or you go to W3 Schools, you get to see more of HTML5 tags. Now when we get to CSS, I'll be making use of a lot of HTML5 tags. So at that point, I'll be explaining the tags before making use of them, before calling them in CSS or something. Like for instance, like you can see we have some little explanation here, you can just read through, but I'm making use of them and they'll be making more sense when I'm using them with my CSS. Like I told you, I don't want to bore you with a lot of tags, but I actually want you to just understand the way this thing works. So that's why I'm going to wait till when we start doing our CSS. Okay, so CSS class, that's the next thing we'll be having. So in 2 days time, if you've been seeing my video, probably might be 3 days because I might be preparing for a new course. So 2 or 3 days time when you see the video, we're going to be learning CSS. Okay, before I round off, what is CSS? I know we get to see ladies on the street these days, and probably when they get home and they have to take their bath, we have to see something else entirely. We have to see a different person, a different personnel in those ladies. Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. That's what CSS does. CSS gives the beauty to the site. It aligns the text to where it's supposed to be. You put the right color, put the right background, put the right image, and so on and so forth. Then make the site looks cool, makes it looks very good, and makes it look presentable. So I could let me say CSS is just like makeup kit for our HTML. With CSS, with just HTML and CSS, you could build wonderful website. I mean, wonderful website that could be acceptable anywhere. You can build something like Facebook. It might not have all the function of Facebook. You might not be able to like, click, but it can have the look and feel of Facebook with CSS and HTML. With CSS and HTML, you can become a front-end developer. Just that these days we now have a lot of things attached to front-end development. You might need to just learn one or two framework like React, which will be taken here. So you might need to have knowledge of JavaScript. But with just those two back then, you become a front-end developer. So we'll be starting CSS in our next class, and it's going to be a great time. Now, let me just sound the warning. When we start CSS, don't just watch the video and then assume I understand. Try it out. Yes, check it out. As I'm doing my examples, make sure you try it on your system. If it's not working on your system, drop a comment, then we'll sort it out. Okay, guys, thank you. I told you it's going to be a long video. It's longer than my usual video, but I believe it's worth it. Thank you very much. So in case you want to contact me, you can use any of this. That's my Twitter, that's my email. Sorry, it's 1Q, not double Q. It's S square, so you could use any. And I got these slides from FreePic. It was created by Slides Go, and the icons were being created by Flight Icon. Yeah, thanks to the guys. Thanks for the wonderful work they did. So guys, see you soon.